No, I wasn't aware of it. It really means nothing. Just one more than last week and hopefully one less than if I'm still at the job the following week. I'll be lucky to challenge myself by next week. Don't worry about 71. No, I don't think there's... They're all a bit meaningless, aren't they? All those stats. I don't know really what they mean. It's sort of making me feel very old. Okay, so you've achieved that. Well, both trained differently today, and Robbie trained very well, and Andrew did all the things we wanted him to do, so he'll be assessed on Thursday. Well, we want to weigh up why we need to bring him in and hustle him into the side as quick as we can. We've got to be more guarded than thinking we lost a game of football. Does Andrew coming in underdone make a massive difference, or do we put him under too much pressure, or is he right to play? He's been training for a number of, I'd say now 10 days. He's trained all the way through, but he's had 10 days of solid training. Is that enough? Well, that'll be up to the doctors to inform us by Thursday how Andrew feels and how we feel about selection. Well, we've got to weigh that up as well. I don't really see that. I think that a player like him probably gets enough the way he plays by playing senior football. He's not necessarily a touch player that needs to have that touch in the VFL. He can come in and play. The role he plays is about. He's a good close checking player. That's more about body. Being right to play a full game of football against someone who can run all day. So it's more about the fitness component than it is touch. Well, again, he's open to selection. They all are. Anyone from last week, plus 4 or 5 boys that played very well, plus the 2 boys that didn't play in Carrazzo and Warnock. We had, even though the reserve side got beaten, there were 4 or 5 boys that did all the things we asked them to do, and they will come into contention. He admits it wasn't good. And I don't think it was good. And how we handle that's for an internal voice and an action. So we'll see how that pans out. There's a chance of the side being changed considerably. We lost a game that we shouldn't have. So we'll have a look at that side and see whether or not players in that team can be better suited to having a run in the reserves, and can the boys in the reserves add value to our side and the seniors. It's not a matter of having vendettas or, when people make mistakes, do you punish them twice? No. So our side will be picked with the one thing in mind, to have the best side available out there to beat Hawthorn. Oh, clearly. And as Chris knows, and has apologised for his behaviour, there's 18 players every week. And as I said to the group here, if the AFL get their way, there'll be 38 every week. It'll be 2 and 2. I think some players would prefer not to, they'd rather play in the reserves and be a sub. I don't get the sub stuff. I think it's nonsense, but it's a rule, so you abide by the rules. What else would it be? Well, think about it. Do you think I would pick a side not to win? Do you think I'd pick a side that didn't give the club the best opportunity to play and win games of football? Of course. Well, you just answered your own question. I'm not answerable to supporters or media in particular about questioning about match committee. Because if you're not privy to match committee, you're not privy to anything what we talk about. Look, you know what? I want to finish this conversation about Chris Yarran. He is clearly didn't have the right body language. We all know that, so no use hiding that. He is the first to admit it. He has apologised for it. He is very remorseful about being in a position where he hasn't taken on board the team theme, and he fully acknowledges it. He will be far better for this. Far better for this. The club will be far better for this. It's a learning curve for all. And it's regardless of when they're told, with all due respects. I don't tell players that are out of the side until late in the week. for one very, very obvious reason, because they may well fall back into the side. And then you have a merry-go-round, if you like, or an up and down situation where they have a change of, I guess, circumstance which affects their mentality, up and down, and in the end you have a player that's totally confused. Better to know late, one way or the other, and therefore it's one decision, not guess what, you're out, oh sorry, someone else is injured, now you're in. Now that player's emotions drift from time to time. You've got to eliminate the number of emotional changes. And you mentioned about numbers, that's done through experience. Won't make any difference whatsoever. We will pick the side on balance to win games of football. Who goes and who stays, you pick the best side. If it's a good bloke that falls out, you know what? Bad luck. Well, Hawthorn are clearly a very, very good football side. They've lost the first game, won the next 9, and have won them pretty comprehensively. So we know we're playing a very good football side. But that's of all the games that you want to play with a challenge in front of you. And this group of men, young men, I want them to enjoy the challenge of playing good football sides. And we know how good Essendon are and have been this year, and we lowered our colours at the wrong time of the game. We know Hawthorn have been around the mark for probably 6 or 7 years. The side has had subtle changes with personnel, but it's still a very, very strong football side. The challenge is not saying we need to kick better, or we need to stop Franklin, or we need to stop, win the centre bounces. It's a comprehensive across the board, us being highly competitive in every field. Because if you're not competitive against Hawthorn, you just don't win. Chris Judd is a professional, trains hard, does everything right to get the most out of his body, and he's a wonderful footballer. Anyone to play 250 games with his pedigree, when you look at Brownlow's, he's won, Best and Fairest he's won, played for 2 clubs, been part of a premiership side, been part of a losing grand final. He's sampled a lot of the things. He's very rarely gone through life without a tag. I think players that can play 250 game and continue to be tagged each week and still be very, very proactive in their own performance has great belief for a start off, and understands the game, caters for taggers, and I know he sets himself to be able to beat his man, whether it be someone of the ilk of the retired Cameron Ling to young players coming through and emerging as taggers. He takes that as a real, 1 as a compliment and 2 as a challenge. 6 and 5, every club wants to be 11 and zip. No, I'm saying that I, like every other coach, would love to be 11 and zip. So we're 6 and 5. So we're certainly short of 11 and zip. Probably not.
So you should have gone longer?
Well, maybe. He had 2 or 3 options. But nonetheless, we don't drill one kick doesn't lose a game of football. Now I'm glad you asked that question. If the prerequisite is to bellyache, scream, yell and carry on, if that's the prerequisite, I'll have our blokes do it every time.
It seems to help though at times.
Well, it's a disgrace if that's the case. It's an absolute and utter disgrace if that's the case. Jeff Garlett, you can jump all over his feet. He'll be the last to complain. He won't say anything. So let's take it on personalities. Do we give a credit for a personality that a young bloke says nothing, so therefore we should look, or someone else who's a recognised screamer at a bad decision, and we take that on board? If the prerequisite is for someone to bellyache, then the whole rule should be thrown out and forget it, take the goal umpire at what he thought was the right decision. Otherwise, what are they doing sitting up in the box upstairs? They have direct access straight to the umpires. If you've got direct access, halt the play. It's down the other end of the ground from the opposition who have the next kick. Halt the play. Do something about it. Be proactive. And because Jeff didn't complain about it, and let me tell you, Jeff could be a metre out and kick the ball with a metre's gap and they say it's not a goal. He will walk away because he's one of those kids. And we've got a lot of those kids playing for us who would not disrupt, who don't want to be noticed, who don't want to make a noise about things. So for all those commentators that think, oh, Jeff Gartlett didn't think it was a goal. Yes, he did think it was a goal. He knew it was a goal, but he will be the last, one of many at this football club that will not complain. So if that's the reason, sadly, they've got it absolutely and utterly wrong.